How's it going, peeps? It is now time for the Raw results slash highlights and review video. I'll go over the results, what happened on tonight's Raw, some of the highlights in my opinion, and give you guys my thoughts on the show. So it kicks off with Daniel Bryan coming out for a matchup against Randy Orton, a rematch, the third match in a row between the two. Daniel Bryan cuts a promo in the beginning about people, calling him weak and small and stuff like that. And then he goes on to talk about Randy and the match he had with him on SmackDown. He talks about how he got a victory by countout, and most people would be happy with that countout victory over Randy, but he's not happy with that. He wants a legit victory by pinfall or submission. So anyways, Randy comes out. Randy says, enough talking, let's fight. And they start fighting. They start fighting everywhere on the outside. Daniel Bryan even knocks down a referee when he goes for the apron running knee onto Randy. And eventually the referee just calls it like a no contest, or as Daniel Bryan said later on, a double disqualification. After that, Vickie and Maddox are backstage. Daniel Bryan comes up to them and he asks Vickie, well, actually doesn't ask, he demands a match against Randy, and he wants it tonight. He wants to end it tonight. And Vickie, I think, says it's not going to happen tonight. Or actually, Maddox says it's not going to end tonight. So Daniel Bryan says, I want a match with Randy tonight, or else I want a match with Maddox. And then Vickie says, alright, you've got your match. So Maddox is like thinking, oh, crap, it's a match against me. But no, she says, you've got your match against Randy Orton. Daniel Bryan then leaves, and Vickie laughs at Maddox for panicking. And then Vince McMahon comes in the scene, and he talks about Daniel Bryan, says some people would say Daniel Bryan is, small, he doesn't belong in the company, he shouldn't be a WWE superstar, and that he's an embarrassment. Vickie asks Vince what he thinks, and Vince says, I'll let you figure that out, and then leaves. And then you've got Cody Rhodes, Damien Sandow, Team World Scholars versus Sheamus and Christian in a tag team match. The team of Sheamus and Christian win the matchup once Sheamus hits the bro kick on Cody Rhodes. He actually hit Cody Rhodes had just gotten tagged in by Damien Sandow, and they kind of got tangled up while Damien Sandow tried to get out of the ring and Cody go in. So Cody pushed Damien Sandow out of the way, and then he got bro kicked. Then you see CM Punk backstage, and he's on his cell phone texting or something. Vickie comes up to them, and he asks her if she's seen Paul Heyman. She says no. And then he asks her about Brock Lesnar. She says she hasn't seen Brock Lesnar either. She doesn't even know if Brock Lesnar will be in the arena tonight. And then she tells him, I've got a match for you tonight. CM Punk ignores her for a while until she screams, excuse me. So CM Punk gets up and he screams, excuse me, back to Vickie. And tells her to tell him when or if Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar show up. And then you've got Kaitlyn versus Aksana, one-on-one matchup. Layla's at ringside to support Kaitlyn. And towards the end of the matchup, Kaitlyn's music hit. And AJ came out. AJ came out dressed as Kaitlyn with like a muscle suit or whatever. And with the same avatar, hair, and everything. And despite the distraction, Kaitlyn won after a spear. And then AJ went on to make fun of Kaitlyn and pretty much copied the segment where Big E came out and, said he was her secret admirer. They reenacted the whole thing. And, Layla held Kaitlyn back from getting out of the ring and attacking AJ. And that was it for that segment. Then a replay of Mark Henry's fake retirement last week, and then Del Rio faced off against Chris Jericho in a rematch from SmackDown, where the match ended by disqualification, and this time, the match ended by disqualification again, but in favor of Jericho this time. Well, what happened is, in the end, Del Rio had Chris Jericho locked in the cross armbreaker, but Chris Jericho got his foot on the ropes, so Del Rio had to break it. And Chris Jericho right away put on the walls of Jericho, and that's when Ricardo Rodriguez got in the ring with that bucket he brings to the ring. By the way, why does he bring that bucket whenever they go to the ring? I don't know why. If you do know why, I'm interested in knowing why. Seriously, I don't know why. I don't know if there's something behind it or something like that. But anyways, so yeah, he goes in the ring with the bucket and hits Chris Jericho in the back. That causes a disqualification, so Jericho wins by DQ. And that's when Dolph Ziggler comes running down the ring, attacking Del Rio, and Chris Jericho takes down Ricardo. And once they take down both Del Rio, oh yeah, and then Dolph hits Zig Zag on Del Rio. Once he takes out Del Rio and Ricardo's taken out, him and Chris Jericho are in the ring, and they have a stare down for a little while until Chris Jericho pushes Dolph Ziggler aside, and that's when Dolph Ziggler hits the Zig Zag on Chris Jericho. So I guess Dolph gets his payback for Chris Jericho hitting the codebreaker on him last week. And then backstage, you have Vickie and Maddox, and they're thinking about canceling the Daniel Bryan and Randy match, and that's when Triple H comes in, and just like the past few weeks, he says the opposite of Vince McMahon. He says he heard a nasty rumor that Vickie is thinking about canceling the matchup, and that's, despite what Vince said, some people might think that way about Daniel Bryan, but he doesn't. And he says what matters is what the WWE Universe thinks about Daniel Bryan, or thinks about it, and they want to see the match tonight. He also says he wants Vickie to over-deliver and let the fans choose which match type they're going to compete in. And that was it. And then at the 2K14 reveal, and apparently, I think they changed I think they were supposed to reveal the trailer and also the cover. But anyways, I'll talk about that in just a few moments. So yeah, the 2K14 reveal. Jerry the King Lawler, you've got Vickie Guerrero and Maddox. They're all in the ring. Jerry the King announces that there's going to be a contest this year for 2K14 where people can submit their own covers, their custom covers, and the winning cover is going to be featured on the back of the box. And then you had Vickie show her submission, her cover, and the cover was Vince McMahon, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon. Basically, Vickie Guerrero kissing up to them, whatever. Anyways, they actually showed the cover, and, as expected, The Rock is on the cover. It's a picture of The Rock holding a microphone, and that is the cover, the 2K14 cover. There's no other superstar on the cover. It's just like, the W12 and 13, where there's only one superstar. Now, I expected a trailer, but apparently, I guess there was a change in plans, and now the trailer is going to be shown on Twitter, specifically the WWE Games Twitter page. And then Ryback came out. This is Ryback returning since his match with John Cena. He faced off against the Great Khali, and it was a short match. And yes, Ryback did, lift Khali up for the shell shock, and he actually marched around twice. He did 2 circles with Khali on his shoulders, hit the shell shock, and won the matchup. Then the following segment was John Cena to talk about Mark Henry's fake retirement. He came out and he cut a promo. Mark Henry did not interrupt or anything. He got a promo on Mark Henry saying that Mark Henry made a mockery of everybody else who's retired and actually had to retire because they couldn't do what they love to do anymore, like Edge, Ric Flair, and Shawn Michaels. And pretty much, it's just a promo saying he's going to beat Mark Henry, and that the champ is here. Afterwards, it's a triple threat tag team match to determine the number 1 contenders to the Shield's tag team titles, and it's the team of Tons of Funk versus the Usos versus 3MB. I think it was Jinder and Ju. And during Tons of Funk's entrance, the fan that won a Sandy Relief auction got to do the entrance with Tons of Funk. He danced with them. Anyways, as far as the match goes, the match towards the end, one of the Usos hits a Samoan drop on Tensai, and the other Uso hits the top rope body splash for the victory. So the Usos are the number 1 contenders to the Shield's tag team titles. After the match, the Shield come out, but they stay in the crowd, just stare down the Usos from there, and raise their tag team titles. Afterwards, Paul Heyman's in the ring. He brings out CM Punk, and pretty much CM Punk explains how Paul Heyman, saved his career, or prevented him from getting fired and such, and that's why he's best friends with Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman explained how he wasn't behind Brock Lesnar attacking CM Punk. He didn't even know that Brock Lesnar would be in the arena. And that you know, he says, you know, he's CM Punk's best friend. He would never represent anybody against CM Punk, and that one day he hopes to walk down the ramp once again with CM Punk when he challenges for the championship. And Paul Heyman also notes that when CM Punk, you know, on the backstage told Paul Heyman that Brock Lesnar needed Paul Heyman, that's when he kind of picked a fight with Brock Lesnar. Not Paul Heyman, but picked a fight with Brock Lesnar. And anyways, so yeah, it's pretty much Paul Heyman saying that he didn't know Brock Lesnar was going to be there. He didn't know Brock Lesnar was going to attack CM Punk. And CM Punk, in the end, the fans were actually chanting GTS for him to, you know, hit the GTS on Paul Heyman. But CM Punk says, I'm sorry for doubting you, and hugs Paul Heyman. And then Darren Young and Titus O'Neil come out to the ring for a one-on-one matchup. It's Darren Young versus CM Punk. And CM Punk wins the matchup with the Anaconda Vice. And actually, Darren Young did pretty good in the matchup. He hit his finisher, actually, but CM Punk geeked out. Anyways, right after CM Punk got the tap-out victory, Titus O'Neil got in the ring and started attacking CM Punk. Him and Darren Young were attacking CM Punk. That's where Curtis Axel's music hits, and he comes out to help CM Punk fight off Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. And I've got to say, the whole exchange, the whole fighting between the four was kind of awkward. It just didn't look right. It's not, I think it's because you had Curtis Axel attacking Darren Young, and while he was attacking Darren Young, Titus O'Neil had CM Punk in like a power slam position, and he just held Punk in that position for a while. Or I'm not sure if CM Punk was trying to get out or whatever, but and at the same time, you had Darren Young getting knocked out of the ring, and usually when that happens, they don't go back in, but then he went back in after a few seconds and continued fighting with Curtis Axel. I don't know, but yeah, they take out the primetime players, and afterwards it looks like CM Punk wasn't happy with Curtis Axel, or Paul Heyman actually telling Curtis Axel to come out and help CM Punk. And then you had Vickie Guerrero backstage, Stephanie McMahon coming up to her and telling her if she chose the participants, for the WWE title, WWE Championship, Money in the Bank ladder match. Vickie says she hasn't yet because, you know, she's got a lot to do. So Stephanie says it's okay, she's going to do it. And Stephanie McMahon comes out. And the lineup for the WWE title Money in the Bank ladder match is pretty damn good. I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, you've got Rob Van Dam, who's returning, so now we know he's going to be in that ladder match in the WWE Championship one. And you've got CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Randy. Oh yeah, you've also got Christian and Sheamus. Also, Kane is in the matchup. This makes that matchup, the winner of that match, very, very unpredictable. And then you have Ryback coming in Vickie's office, and he tells her to, you know, he actually tells her, did you see how easily I picked up Khali and beat Khali? And, you know, he says to take Mark Henry out of the WWE Championship matchup against John Cena and put him in instead. And he says if it weren't for that cheap ambulance, top of the ambulance, then he would have been champion. And Chris Jericho comes in the office, and he's also talking about how he feels, I think, he should be in the world title. No, actually, he says he feels he should be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And it ends up with Vickie Guerrero booking Ryback versus Chris Jericho for Money in the Bank, a one-on-one matchup between the two. And then you have CM Punk backstage with Paul Heyman, and he tells him, what don't you understand? I don't want any help, this and that. Paul Heyman ends up telling him that he arranged a matchup for next week. It's going to be CM Punk and Curtis Axel versus the Primetime Players in a tag team matchup. And then another segment is Mark Henry coming out. He cuts his own promo against John Cena, you know, talking about the matchup. He said some people told him he should be nominated for an Oscar. And he says that's good and all, but that's not what he wants. And, you know, to sum it up, in the end of the promo, he says, you know, last week I said I was coming home. And he says, oh, I'm coming home all right, but I'm coming home with the championship. Anyways, after that, it was time for the main event, and the match I was looking forward to the most, Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton. Before they actually made their entrances, Jerry the King Lawler was in the ring, and he was going to announce, the winning matchup because the fans could vote on the match. The choices were a lumberjack match, a street fight, and a falls count anywhere match. I was expecting maybe the falls count anywhere match to win. I was thinking if that doesn't win, then maybe the street fight, one of the two, but I definitely wasn't expecting maybe a lumberjack match. So anyways, the winning matchup ended up being a street fight, and I think the second option was a falls count anywhere match, but I don't exactly recall. But anyways, it was a great match. Really good matchup. They used weapons, a lot of weapons. They used the steel chairs, the cane. They've been using the canes a lot lately. Well, not lately, but for a while now. And we actually saw a steel chair shot to the head, and we haven't seen that in a long time. It happened when Daniel Bryan went for the suicide dive. Randy grabbed the steel chair from under the ring and hit Daniel Bryan with it, right on the head. And they also used tables, 2 tables actually. Yeah, Daniel Bryan powerbombing Randy. Yes, actually did powerbomb Randy. He didn't set him up, the usual powerbomb way where you put him, between your legs and then pick him up and hit the powerbomb. The way it happened is there was a table outside the ring, right outside the ring, like right next to the apron, and Randy was on the apron. So Daniel Bryan was trying to drop kick Randy onto the table outside. So he'd run on towards Randy, hit a running drop kick, but Randy would still hang on. He did that like 2 or 3 times. Randy was still hanging on. So the last time he goes running towards Randy and then does a baseball slide, slips under Randy's legs, under the ropes outside the ring, right in front of the table, grabs Randy and nails the powerbomb, putting Randy through the table. He then put him back in the ring, went for the cover, and Randy kicked out. Daniel Bryan actually locked on the no lock twice in the matchup. And also, Randy also hit or put Daniel Bryan through a table. Not entirely through a table, but he broke part of the table. They set a table up in the corner on one of the turnbuckles. And Randy hit a T-bone suplex on Daniel Bryan through the table. And they just broke like the end, like the bottom part of the table. Daniel Bryan didn't go through the middle of the table. Anyways, like I was saying, he locked on the no lock twice. Randy also got, his second rope DDT in. And first time Daniel Bryan locked on the no lock, Randy got out. And he got up by grabbing the cane. The cane was close, so he grabbed that and hit Daniel Bryan a couple times. Oh, wait a minute. Daniel Bryan actually locked on the no lock 3 times, kind of. Second time he locks it on. Once again, Randy grabs the cane, hits Daniel Bryan a couple of times to get out of it, but then right after, Daniel Bryan grabs the cane and uses that to lock on the low lock. Instead of putting his hands around Randy's face, he put the cane, and that was what he needed to do to get Randy Orton to tap out. Randy tapped out to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan beat Randy Orton. So Daniel Bryan wins the matchup to a big pop. After the matchup, the crowd chant yes, 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 along with Daniel Bryan, and Randy's getting up, and when Daniel Bryan was celebrating after winning the matchup, the camera was just on Daniel Bryan, so I was expecting maybe Randy would RKO Daniel Bryan once he turns around or something like that, but actually Randy did not do that. They shook hands. Randy left the ring. Daniel Bryan continued his celebration, and that was it. So, as far as Raw tonight, I've got to say it was a good show. Very good show. Really enjoyed this show tonight. I enjoyed last week's show and tonight's show, and really enjoyed the main event this week. Highlight of the night, main event, the freaking Money in the Bank ladder match participants. You've got Christian, and I'm a big fan of Christian, if you don't know already. So yeah, you've got Christian in there, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Rob Van Dam. That's pretty cool. And yeah, I think that's it. Highlights of the night, like I said, the tables match and the Money in the Bank, the announcement for the Money in the Bank ladder match, the participants. So that is pretty much it. If I have to give a review for the show, I would give it an 8 out of 10, or maybe even 8.5 out of 10. Pretty much the same thing I would give, or I gave last week's show. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, if you did, damn, this review is freaking long, 19 minutes, wow. We're closing in on 20 minutes too. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, as always, you can click that like button down below. I really appreciate it. And with that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.